So today we're going to be going over some everyday signature scents that you can wear every day and likely not get tired of them. And basically by that I mean you're going to fall in love with the low amount of effort that's required to actually pull these off. You really don't have to think about them. You just spray them on and you go, and that's about all there is to it. Because one thing I'll tell you from experience, the more you collect and the more you add to your collection, the harder it is to sometimes make a decision on what you want to wear for the day or for a certain specific event that you're going to. And so when you have these super versatile scents that you can just fall back on, you just pick up, you apply, and then you go, you hit the road, it really kind of takes some of the guesswork out of it. And that's really what these are here. If you just don't want to spend a whole bunch of time dwelling on what you want to be wearing, you can pick these out, add a couple of these to your collection, and now you have like a fail-safe. If there's a day where you just aren't really sure, you don't want to put any more effort into it, you would grab something like, I don't know, Valentino, Uomo, Rockstud Noir. Okay, so this is one of their newer Born in Roma flankers, and I do really like this one. And this is yet another one that has sat in the unopened box for quite some time until I finally got around to it, and I enjoy it. It's a rich, kind of aromatic, semi-sweet blue fragrance essentially. So a familiar DNA, definitely. Think of something like Eau de Parfum or Ralph's Club, things like that. This is Valentino's take on that specific style, but again with a kind of a heavier, richer sweetness to it that a couple of the others there don't have. It doesn't have the apple fruitiness like Eau de Parfum, but it does have that sage aromatic backbone that's found in both of those, Ralph's Club and Eau de Parfum. It just does have a lot more of like an ambery smell to it. Of course, ambroxan is found in all of them, but to take it a step further, again, just a bit of a stronger, more pronounced sweet undertone, but with still overwhelming amount of freshness. It almost has kind of like a candied sweetness to it, which I do really like. And again, we're not going for like fragrance awards here, you know, some of the most unique smelling things ever. That's quite the opposite for this video. Remember, we're looking for things that are super versatile, great complement pullers, everyday wear, that just work for the intended purpose. And that's really what something like this is engineered to do. Remember, there are many other options out there that you could go with. That's just one that I picked for this particular video. You could substitute in many others. Now, next up we have Beau by Jean Paul Gaultier, just the original, okay? For this video, I would probably say this is going to be one of the better choices. Now, the new Paradise Garden would be a great option as well. Love it. It's a fantastic release, better than you might expect it to be. However, a bit harder to find right now. Beau Le Parfum. That guy is just, again, a bit harder to find, but above that, much sweeter. And so that level of sweetness, I think, might push it over a bit too much in terms of everyday wear. I would consider it to be more of like a summer evening gourmand. So for a summer date night or something, it would be a good one. Wouldn't be something I would be super inclined to wear during the day to work or something like that. Just the original Beau. Has that coconut, has that tonka bean, and a little bit of a bergamot note in here just to kind of freshen things up and give it a bit of a citrus feel. So again, what I was going after is just a fresh, easygoing, versatile scent that has kind of like a slightly soapy, clean smell, a little bit of a sunscreen, kind of tropical, summery smell. Ultimately, a combination of fresh, sweet, to accommodate summer, spring, fall, winter, and everything else in between. You really can't go wrong with something like Creed Aventus for this type of video, just something that you could wear all the time, every day, signature scent. Not everybody is wanting to spend, you know, $250, $300 plus on Aventus. You could spend $40 to $45 and get Montblanc Explorer. You're going to be in a similar ballpark. I really like this alternative for the price point. And then one thing that I always say about this is that it's a designer. So it's going to have a wider reach to people and it's going to connect with more people because it's from a designer brand. That's one of the main drawbacks to some of these clones like Fragrance World, Armani, Lattafa, and so on, right? You guys know the brands, is they're not going to connect with as many people because it's a little bit more of a specific thing. You have to be a bit further into the fragrance community to start discovering those. And so with a more mainstream designer brand releasing a clone of something, it's just a bit easier to pick up and find overall. And I'm not saying you should go out and pay retail price for this one, which is about double the price of what it goes for at discounters or a bit more. I wouldn't do that. I mean, why? You know, you could buy it online and save $40, $50. But that does give you the opportunity to go into a store and smell this one free, you know, and I guess the option is there if you wanted to go ahead and buy it. But I just think these designer style clones are a bit easier to pull off and find. But trust me, there are many other Aventus clones out there that are also really good, and there are some ones that are better than this, just, you know, to put it out there. But again, as far as just having something easy to wear for every day that's you just can't go wrong with, I would check this out. Next up, we have Armani Stronger With You Only. So this is kind of their current fresh release. So they have Stronger With You Freeze, but they're not making that anymore. It's starting to get a little bit harder to find. So this one is up next. It's got vanilla, chestnut, and grapefruit. So that's kind of where that freshness is coming from, but you're still getting the Stronger With You DNA backbone, the chestnut, the vanilla, the sweet notes. It's just balanced out, ultimately making it suitable for a wide variety of situations. So it also puts this one at a bit more of a competitive price range. Typically Stronger With You, absolutely and intensely, you know, $110, maybe $115. And then the exclusive editions, which are going to be, you know, maybe $120, $125. So this one, I think it's been under 100 before. So just given the fact that it's fresher, it's not as in demand as the others, it's a bit more affordable, and it still just has a lot more versatility too, so you really can't go wrong with this as a whole. Let's go for something like YSL Myself. I almost said YSL Myself. That's a common mistake that I always catch myself on. But it's Myself. So it's, you know, the start of a new line. And it might not be what everybody was hoping for, something that was groundbreaking and super unique. But, you know, what can we do? And I mean, really, I don't think any of us were expecting that, to be fair. It's not me throwing shade at the brand or at anybody. But I think we all looked at the bottle, we looked at the name especially, and just everything about it. And we were all collectively like, yeah, that's going to be another familiar smelling release. And it is. However, I'm not going to sit here and hate on it because, you know, just like I always like to be on the channel, I like to be truthful, I do really like how this smells. Aside from the fact that this is a DNA and a smell that has been, you know, kind of replicated and you know, had their own twist on across many brands, designer and niche, and across many different fragrance lines, it is still a very appealing and pleasing smell. So you've got bergamot, orange blossom, and ambro fix here. I think that's all they give you, 3 notes. The ambro fix, as far as specifics go, I'm not exactly sure, but it's like an ambroxany smell, or at least that's what I pick up on from this one. It's probably pretty accurate. Aromatics, citruses, not any fruits like in YEDP, but it is significantly more fresh and soapy and more kind of freshly washed clothes smelling than the entire Y lineup. So truly a much more traditional fresh scent. It legitimately smells like you're grabbing a crisp white t-shirt out of the dryer after you just washed it. You know, it doesn't get any more clean and refreshing than this. I think this one, despite just kind of the bottle presentation, would be great for the hottest, brightest summer day. You know, you look at the sleek bottle here and it kind of just looks like it'd be more of a cooler weather, more interesting and unique scent, but it's, you know, not. It's very bright and very uplifting. So this is the type of thing, kind of slotting into something like YSL, or not YSL, Versace Eau Fresh, also YSL Y Eau Fresh, but Versace Eau Fresh Great for the hottest days that you can imagine. You could put that bottle in the freezer, and when you spray it on, it's super refreshing. Kind of a similar thing with this one. Or John Varvatos Artisan Pure. The list goes on. Crisp, clean, refreshing, and impossible to go wrong with. Next up, we have Prada Luna Rossa Ocean. This is going to be the original. I love the new EDP. I've talked about it quite often. It's a great one. However, I do still really enjoy the Eau de Toilette, and I think a lot of people will still probably gravitate towards this one over the EDP, especially if it's a scenario where you're smelling them side by side in a store or something, and you're trying to fulfill the idea that this video is conveying, something that is wearable for anything that you can possibly think of, and also just be a really good compliment getter. And it's not to say that the Eau de Parfum won't do any of that for you, because I do believe that it will. But in terms of what they're kind of designed for, what they're created for, Luna Rossa Ocean EDT probably is winning that battle. So again, it kind of depends on what you're looking for, but this one still smells really good. And it's not oceanic in the traditional sense like you would probably expect from something named Ocean. And even the blue gradient that this one has going on, it's actually not this aquatic and fresh. It actually has a bit more of a depth and a richness behind it that you might not expect, and you might be pleasantly surprised to find out when you put your nose on this one. Last up for this video, we have Missoni Wave. There's the original. Well, I guess there's no other Missoni Wave. It's just this and Missoni Parfum. And Missoni Parfum could have been in here as well, but Wave is really good too. This is a great substitute to Versace Pour Homme and or Chanel Allure Homme Sport. So it kind of has more of the price of the Versace, around $40, but then it has the bright, fresh floral component of the Versace, and then some of the kind of sweeter, powderier notes from the Chanel. So it's like the best of both worlds. It still has an immense level of utility to it. There is not a single situation that I could think of that you could not wear Missoni Wave in and smell out of place. I mean, really guys, anything you can possibly think of, any situation that you would wear a fragrance to, you could use this one for. Now, obviously, there may be times you wouldn't want to wear one, which is a completely different subject in and of itself, and you know, that's where you have to use your discretion, like, I don't know, a funeral or something, or whatever it might be. You might want to just not, you know, approach that with caution. I'm not going to give you advice on that. But outside of that, anything, school, work, date night, job interview, if you want to do that, anything, guys. Anything where you feel as though it's appropriate to wear something, this can be used for. And I think that's pretty valuable, especially at this price point that it comes in at, 40 bucks. I mean, you know, it's really reasonable, especially in this day and age. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for me. Some versatile fragrances that you can wear every day for anything and never get sick of. Yeah, you might start to kind of crave something new smelling or different smelling, but you can't deny just the sheer set it and forget it aspect that these have. Spray and go, it could be easier than that, and I think that's pretty valuable, especially when you have a big collection built up. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.